We're back. This time, talking about The Lion King. So, by far, probably one of my favorite Disney movies, if not my favorite Disney movie of all time. I love this movie as a kid.
Top 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I do remember actually going to see this in theaters when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently looked it up today because I was trying to figure out if it's because, as an adult, I feel like time moves differently than it was when you were a kid. Like, Christmas was always like a decade away.
Yeah.
I wake up tomorrow and it's Christmas.
Yeah.
I did look it up and I did find out it did take about a year for this movie to actually come out on VHS after it was released in theaters. Where nowadays it's like 4
2
months.
months? No, it's
like
yeah,
2 sometimes, yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody? Dude, like as soon as they put that in the theaters, they were trying to release it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm just like, what
I'm assuming, not to go off track, I'm assuming that's because DVD's a lot quicker to duplicate than probably VHS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, man, it just felt like it took forever. Because I remember seeing it in theaters and I was like, man, I want to watch it again. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. The cast, again, is great. The music, some of my favorite songs from Disney
Oh,
ever.
for real. I mean, you can't argue the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I mean, Elton John, Tim Rice, I think, did an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, again, just like we just talked about with Aladdin recently, there's a live action, well, they called it live action at first, which really confused me. A live action Lion King, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I was like, so it's the Broadway show?
I was kind of worried about that. I've never seen the Broadway show. It looks cool, but I was like, I don't know if I want to see a movie like that.
Right.
But they finally released the trailer, and it looks incredible. Like, I'm super excited. So it's realistic lions, but it's basically a CG movie.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about the movie, because I could talk about the movie all day long.
But we can say that we're excited about it.
I'm a lot more excited about that one than I am Aladdin.
Yep.
Nothing against Aladdin. It's just Lion King is my shit. So,
clearly.
yes, Hakuna Matata. I try to live by this motto, but I don't.
Yeah, right.
Life sucks. Get over it. So, this one's a little bit different than Aladdin, because Aladdin, every game we talked about was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thankful to find one game that I didn't even really know existed until recently and test it out to see how it worked. But basically, we're going to be talking about the Game Boy version, the Game Gear version, the Super Nintendo version, and of course the Genesis version. So I was like, well, this isn't going to be very interesting because they're all pretty much the same game. Until I found out there's a PlayStation version. So this, however, is kind of a combination of Lion King 1 and 2.
Yes.
But I felt
its score is half.
Yes, it's a lot lower.
Because it's only half the game we reviewed.
Yeah.
The rest of it we didn't count because it doesn't go with the first movie.
Yeah, it starts going into like him going to save his daughter and all this kind of stuff. Kiara, whatever her name is. So anyway, yeah, so 5 games this time, but essentially 4 of them are the exact same game. So I'm not going to talk about the score system again. You can watch my previous video or our previous video with Aladdin to get that. So we'll get through the soundtrack first. Everything got a 1, except for the PlayStation version. I didn't. Well, okay, I lied. During the game, I didn't see much, but it does have clips, like direct clips from the movie. You could count that, but since we were more so counting like
we only counted gameplay.
Yeah.
And none of them, they weren't even background soundtrack. It sounded like they just were like, hey, shake this maraca.
Yeah, it was like stock African music.
And then play these drums and he's gonna walk.
So I mean, you could argue we could have gave it a half a point, but I said fuck it, it's at 0.
Yeah.
Presentation though, I mean, everything got a 1.
Yeah.
I mean, everything looks great, especially the classic games, because if I'm not mistaken, I think all of them were actually still created by Disney artists. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for the time, it looks amazing. Yeah. Playability, oh boy, all right.
This is all over the place, by the way.
So, I feel bad doing this, because I played the Genesis version a lot as a kid. Mm-hmm. The game pissed me off, to say the least, and it still pisses me off to this day. I only can give half a point.
As a noob, that's generous.
Yeah.
I mean, it is quite difficult for me to even get through level 2. And then past that, like, I almost die instantly pretty much every time.
Yeah, and it's
a struggle.
It's not so much the controls. The controls are honestly fine in my opinion, but it's just there's a lot of cheap moments. The biggest part is the second level, Just Can't Wait to Be King, is freaking difficult. And there's the one part where you're on the emu or the ostrich, and you have to do that double jump. I still today don't know how to do that right, and it's instant death. There's a lot of cheap moments, like the exile stage. We'll get to that. There's like rocks falling. You don't have any time to really react. The one level later on where you have to, like, it's kind of a maze. You have to fight hyenas in order to get through this cave, and then you go the wrong direction. You gotta come back. The hyenas respawn. It's in the Scar fight. Oh my god, I'll get to that later. But it's so freaking difficult. And if you read reviews of it, that's actually where a lot of the negativity came from. This game was just the difficulty, like especially for like a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, the Hakuna Matata stage. That's the other one. The freaking waterfall with the logs. Fuck that stage. Oh my god, I fucking hate that stage. So, I'm sorry, I can only give those half a point because Jesus Christ, they're hard. Sadly, the PS1, I'd give a 1.
Yeah.
It's actually not that bad.
It is very easily playable.
Yeah.
I didn't have a moment, and you know, we're mostly kind of considering, like, if you handed this to your child, who's
who could they play?
like who's gonna want to do this. If you handed this to a child, could they even like get through it partially?
Yeah.
And the PS1 all the way through.
Yeah, no,
get all the way through.
It's a lot easier, even with 3D. The one thing I will say I do like about it is the fact that there are some certain kind of 2D sections and more side-scrolling sections. And I actually really enjoyed that. So I'll give them credit for the fact that it wasn't full 3D. It's still not the best game in the world, but it's playable. Because I got through it with no problem, at least until the Scar fight. I didn't play past that.
Yeah.
I also had a hard time with the disc that I bought. I didn't want to play half the time. The Game Boy. So we kind of had to give this a 0.
Couldn't even get through level 2. Level 1 was so bad. I probably played it 5 or 6 times before I got so frustrated because, is this the one?
There's so much slowdown. Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh
the slowdown, my phone just went off.
And I knew like where I had to get. And every time I tried to get there, I would slow down and I would die.
Yeah, there's so much slowdown. Like, it is unbearable.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's on the Game Boy disc player for the game Cube. Yeah. Whatever that system's called. So, I mean, I assume it's got to be the same way on the Game Boy. So, I mean, if
it's not, let us know. We're happy to try it out on the actual Game Boy, but it was on the Game Boy itself is on loan to somebody. So
Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah. So we didn't have like the capability to play it, so we just did it on that.
Yeah.
And man, I wanted to throw it out the window.
Yeah. The Game Gear, we kind of just went with the half a point as well. To me, it plays like the other ones.
Yeah, I mean.
So, actually, I will say.
But it's hard.
Yeah, I will say the reviews for it back in the day were actually more favorable for the Game Gear version, surprisingly, which doesn't make any sense. Because everybody loved the Game Gear. So yeah, story. This is what's important. So each stage, basically it's almost the exact same game, except for PS1. So each stage starts off kind of like in the Pride Lands. We kind of gave this a 0 because it doesn't really have any moment in the movie.
Yeah, so what I'm assuming they're getting at with the Pride Land stage is him going up to his dad.
You know what? I'm actually going to change something here. I'm actually going to change something on the spot. So, yeah, it doesn't really, like, tell you what's going on. You're just kind of in the Pride Land, so I don't think it really kind of relates to the movie. Because if you think about the movie, it starts off with, obviously, Simba being born, and then it's Simba waking his parents up, and they go on top.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. So I decided to actually change the PlayStation one to kind of give it more of a fair chance. I will give it a 1 because of the fact that you are going up Pride Rock and you end up meeting Mufasa at the top.
Yeah.
So that actually is more so what happens in the movie. So we had it at 0, but I made an executive decision to change it to 1 because this is my channel and I can do what I want.
I have no say.
That's right.
It's fine.
So next up is the Just Can't Wait to Be King stage. Really cool looking stage, but I had touched on this earlier. I fucking hate this stage. It is so freaking difficult.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it clicks on, all the colors change to this beautiful, like, sunset.
PlayStation version doesn't have this song. It doesn't have a stage like this anyway, so it just doesn't get a point. The Elephant Graveyard, though. Each game gets a point.
Yeah.
Because there is an Elephant Graveyard stage, and I feel like this is important because it's a very important movie, or part in the movie.
Yeah.
The only thing that's kind of weird is the fact that almost every game, with the exception of the PlayStation, has Be Prepared. And I'm calling that out for 1 point later on. But that's the song that plays in the background is Be Prepared. I kind of get it.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it's kind of like they're combining those points of the movie because about that time is when he is singing Be Prepared. Yeah. So maybe. But Stampede, another iconic, depressing moment. The Genesis and the Super Nintendo version both are the same. It's kind of like a front-facing... It was at the time, it was pretty revolutionary. And honestly, even for the Sega Genesis, I think it's pretty impressive. Kind of a bitch, but it was impressive. The Game Gear version, and actually I'm going to skip over that one. We'll get back to that. The Game Boy version, though, was kind of an overhead view. And she had made the point, it's like, I assume it probably looks better on the Game Boy, but with the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Disc player adding color to it, it looked like you're like swimming through milk.
It was so funny.
Yeah. The PlayStation version was kind of the same concept as the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but not so much front-facing. It was kind of like, it wasn't as chaotic, I will say that much. The Game Gear version, though, was freaking hilarious to me because it's side-scrolling, and it's just these, like, they don't even look like wildebeest. They look like freaking bulls or something.
They are, oh my god, what are they? They're on the quarter.
Buffalo? Oh, yeah, buffalo. Yeah, they look like buffalo. That's what they look
like buffalo.
Yeah.
And they scroll like the little shooters in a carnival. Like those ducks that you have to hit.
It's like
hilarious.
It's like they're on a conveyor belt. It's like, it looks so stupid, and it's actually pretty hilarious, but...
It's so great.
But to be fair, every game has a Stampede stage, so...
Yeah.
Simba's Exile. So this is kind of... Did I say that right? Exile?
Exactly.
This, I'm assuming, is kind of an extended scene where he's going through the thorns or whatever.
Yeah.
The PlayStation version doesn't really have anything like this, so it just doesn't get a point.
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata.
It means no worries for the rest of your days.
So this one, we kind of decided to only give a half a point to all the games but the PlayStation version because, I mean, it's kind of what happens in the movie, but there's no, like, Timon and Pumbaa.
At all.
Yeah. They're in the bonus stages, but I don't know. There's a lot that's going on in the stage that...
I felt like they should at least be, like, in the background somewhere. Just to, like, kind of be there. Or there should be, like, a log scene where he grows up or something. I mean, something.
I'm trying to remember if there is, though. It might be our fault. Because, again, the fucking waterfall. Could not get past that damn waterfall. I hate the waterfall. It's fucking stupid. There might be something at the end of the stage. I might be wrong where you meet up Timon and Pumbaa, but fuck it. We're giving it a half a point.
Yeah.
So Simba's Destiny. It took me a while to actually realize what this stage was, but... it's actually when, I don't know why, you have to fight like 40 damn cheetahs. But there's like this little like archway looking thing and like a cheetah just comes out, you have to beat it like 15 times, and another one comes out, you just keep doing that. But then Rafiki comes out and like kind of reveals the way, and I'm like, oh, that's when he saw his, well, he's like going to see his like reflection, and then he sees his father, and all that kind of stuff. So,
when he explained it, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
I was like, okay, I see where they're going with it. The Game Gear and the Game Boy version, we only gave a half a point for that, though, because...
There was no Rafiki.
Yeah, there was no Rafiki. That we saw in the stage.
Yeah, I mean, we knew based off the stage name that's what that was supposed to be. But,
I think it might be called something different on that stage. I don't know.
I mean, regardless, if there's no Rafiki, we didn't count it.
Yeah, the PlayStation did not have any stage like that.
Yeah.
This one, though, so the PlayStation version actually has the moment where Simba is saving Timon and Pumbaa from Nala. Mm-hmm. So the other games don't have this moment, so I gave an extra point to the PlayStation version.
Little bonus.
So, but yeah, you hear like Pumbaa yelling, and then Simba goes and saves him, and that's actually what that is. So I was like, you know what? we'll give it an extra point.
Yeah.
Be prepared. So, basically, we gave zeros across the board for this one. The reasoning for it is because this whole scene doesn't really happen. I assume it's, the be prepared section when there's like the lava and all that kind of stuff, but this didn't happen. Adult Simba wasn't there.
Yeah.
And, we forgot to talk about the fact that you actually grow up and become Adult Simba.
Yeah,
I always thought that was
Adult
pretty cool
Simba. Yeah.
as a kid. So the only one we actually gave a half a point to was the Game Gear version, which I assume... Actually, I forgot to check the Game Boy version. I could be wrong. I might have to recheck or redo the scoring. But the Game Gear version, I assume, due to limitations, at least played the song Be Prepared on that stage.
Yeah.
The other games don't do that. Half a point.
If you have the song anywhere else.
Yeah, which they do.
You could have put it there.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So Simba's Return. This is another stage of this. I freaking hate the stage because there's a bunch of caves and you have to fight hyenas. You have to fight them in order to go through a cave. Then you find out you go the wrong way. Right? Then you gotta fight some more hyenas, realize you went the wrong way. It's such a pain in the ass. If the hyenas didn't respawn, it'd be a lot more tolerable. But if you don't know where you're going, the stage sucks.
Yeah. Not only that, why would they respawn? You've killed them.
Yeah. So we kind of gave everything a point because... it kind of did happen. I'm assuming this point is where he's going to Scar. So
like he's trying to get to Scar, and all the hyenas are attacking, and he's like fighting. Timon and Pumbaa are like beaten.
I assume that's what it's going.
Yeah, there's a whole scene in the movie that goes with it, so we went with it.
So so I only gave the PS1 a half a point for this because the stage is there, sort of. But it leads up to the Scar fight. So, because of the fact, I just gave it half a point. Okay. I'm not going to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
The Scar fight. So, each game does have a Scar fight, so we just gave them all
1 point.
1 point. The PS1 version, pretty simple. Honestly, didn't even bother trying to fight Scar in the Game Gear or the Game Boy version. The Super Nintendo Genesis version, I can't speak. That's how frustrated I am. I had to cheat, for one. I had to put on cheat mode to even get to this point, because you fight him 3 different times. So basically, you gotta smack him in the face, eventually he'll run away, and then you gotta make your way up Pride Rock, and the whole level is pretty cool, because there's fire kind of going around you, which happened in the movie. There's a lightning that's coming down, because there's a storm, that's where the fire started. So it looks really cool, and it's a lot like the movie.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the only way you can beat Scar is by throwing him off the ledge. Just like the movie. Oh my god. I don't know what the secret is, but it is so infuriating. I could not imagine playing this game without the cheat mode.
Yeah, we watched somebody online do it, and I was just like, oh, that's what you do. And he's like, it's not that easy.
And mind you, I've beat Mike Tyson. I've, beat the Mega Man games. I beat Castlevania. I've played hard games, but fuck this. I don't know. But they're there. So that's what it is.
They got it,
So total... So the Genesis and the Super Nintendo got a total of 10 points after all the other categories are added in. The PS1 only got a 7.5, unfortunately. The Game Boy, Game Boy got a 9, and the Game Gear as well got a 10. So I will say the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version, those are the games that play if you absolutely want to play them. I still have nostalgia playing them, but... holy hell, they're freaking difficult and frustrating. But they're gorgeous games.
Yeah.
The PlayStation version, I think the biggest complaint I have with that one is, which is only me, it's kind of a collectathon.
Yeah.
But I guess because the game was so easy, they just threw that in there to kind of, I assume you unlock
something.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, the one thing I gotta point out though. So I loved the Genesis version as a kid. I played it well. Love, hate. And the one thing, I had never played the Super Nintendo version until a while ago when I finally bought it. And I was a little confused because in the Genesis version, when you roar as Cub Simba, it's the little roar from like when he's in... Yeah, when he's...
He tries.
Yeah, before the stampede happens.
Yeah.
Not in the Super Nintendo version. It more so sounds like this. Why was that changed? So...
Why did he come... He literally is a kitten.
Yeah, he sounds like a cat. Like, it's so... It seems so out of place. It's so stupid. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and we'll be back again sometime soon.
Bye.